Bring your imaginations with me to the Art Gallery of New South Wales to an exhibition that just wrapped up on the work of Henri Matisse, a French artist who stands as one of the greats of the 20th century. He's close to being my favourite artist. His ways with composition and colour make me think, this is what painting is for. He gives me back a vision of the world that luxuriates in beauty and indeed life and spirit. And I could spend the rest of my life surrounded by Matisse's paintings. His cut-out collages are to me pictures of perfection. He takes colour and shape and creates nothing less than glimmering joy. So it was a very special exhibition to go and see. Lisa's got some magnificent earrings that haven't appeared today, but keep an eye out for them. A very significant element of the exhibition was an installation that bore witness to a work of architecture that Matisse worked on in the latter years of his life, the Chapel of the Rosary, a chapel for the Dominican order in Vence in France. For several years, Matisse worked with a mock-up of the chapel space, and he played around with ideas for stained glass windows and priestly vestments. And these ideas and objects were elegantly and carefully laid out in the gallery, with lighting that approximated the play of the Mediterranean sun. In situ, in real life, the chapel is simpler than some of Matisse's original ideas. Apparently, the original stained glass idea was too hard to build, and so was simplified. In the end, Matisse chose just 3 colours: a shade of blue he had seen in the wing of a butterfly, green for vegetation, and a divine yellow. The chapel is well known for its sparse simplicity. No organ, lots of white tiles, surfaces where light can play. In the Art Gallery of New South Wales, there was a film of some of these elements of this space, and they were projected life-size and filmed with a very slow panning camera, the kind of gaze that you would use if you were actually there. The artist in me sat in the middle of this installation, and I loved its elegant and restrained sense of stillness and rest. But the theologian in me was not at rest. This was an exhibition about life and spirit, but what kind of life? What kind of spirit? Understandably, the chapel has a representation of St. Dominic. It also has Mary gloriously in the clouds, a theological claim that didn't sit easy with me. Still, I liked the baby Jesus that she's holding, his outstretched arms, anticipating the cross. The Stations of the Cross by Matisse have been described as graffiti-like and messy by some. Others find them, yes, profoundly distressing, but in that, very meditative and helpful. It's probably a valuable theological statement in the chapel that a stained glass window with the tree of life is opposite the portrayal of pain and death. But some comment on the Islamic influences in the way that the tree is pictured. So it's a gnarly place, this chapel. It's a complex theological place. It began because Matisse was elderly. He'd nearly died of colon cancer. He was a divorced man living alone, trying to recover from major surgery, and he advertised for a night nurse who must be young and pretty. Her name was Monique. She became a friend and at once a sensual and beautiful model. I love this painting of her. But then she became a nun, Sister Jacques Marie. There were rumours, there were talks of scandal, there was a falling out between the friends, but then years later, a chance meeting again and a repair of the relationship. And so a request came from Sister Jacques Marie. Could Matisse help this little Dominican order of nuns have a chapel? She said later, though, that her years of working with Matisse on the chapel were years of misery. The Mother Superior didn't want an atheist like Matisse, the painter of naked women, involved in her chapel. Picasso, deep in communist thought, derided Matisse for taking on the project, telling him he should just as well decorate a brothel or a vegetable store. Picasso predicted that the chapel would become a museum. But still, 70 years after the death of Matisse, it is a place of prayer. It seems Matisse's own view about Christianity and faith are hard to know, and when I read about them, I suspect that people just project what they hope Matisse thought. Matisse is reported to talk about a feeling that God finished his paintings for him and that the act of painting is like an act of prayer. We do, though, have a romanticism, don't we? That art is a kind of religion and artists are a little bit like priests. I'm prone to this. And you might have picked that up in my culture response. People sit in the chapel, and I think this sort of goes on for them. Some sit in the chapel and just see a great work of art by Matisse. Others treat Matisse as a prophet or priest, and they sense a message here of serene, transcendent calm. But most art critics talk about the space as one in which you can bring your own spirituality. Surprise, surprise. As I sat in the exhibition of the chapel, I wanted Matisse to come and pray with me or preach to me, but I don't think he did. I think I need to be happy with a simpler Matisse, and I'm very happy with that. He's not a prophet, he's not a priest, but he is one of the very best artists who can delight us, showing us something of God's beautiful world.